Hey Sharon, this is Daniel Madelon. This video has been put together for you and the foundation to review on the scope and intent of a television event for a global audience on the work of Napoleon Hill with a focus on outwitting the devil and the moment in time that the release of that book has created. Obviously, it has great financial and marketing benefits, not only now but in the future as well. Which we can go into when we meet in person. But I think it's probably important for me, especially for the foundation, to have some sense of my background and what prepares me for this. DanielMadelon.net is my business card website. I'd encourage you to take a look at that to get a scope and flavor of who I am and the projects I'm working on, and also the unique history that I have and the various skill sets that I bring in combination as a producer. But probably what's most relevant to our conversation right now is that I founded a network called iDiscovery TV, where I was also the host of an intellectual thought leadership series called Breaking It Down, where in fact I came in contact with Greg Reed as one of my guests. And iDiscovery TV as a network in only 11 months launched 9 original show channels with 120 hours of original content, many with name brand authors, speakers, and trainers. And technologically, we were able to broadcast to every known screen device from iPads to phones to set-top boxes and, of course, computers. So we were able to reach a wide range of distribution in that regard. But probably what's most important, and to help you understand my insights into the social aspect of television, we were able to develop a content curation system. And content curation is the most important issue in content discovery because, of course, we're just surrounded by an avalanche of new material all the time. And it's hard for viewers to wade through that. And that's true in publishing as well, as a general rule. And so within this network, we created a social discovery platform where viewers were able to curate and find great content and share with others, not only on the network itself, but in television and video online as a whole, to be able to create a pathway where other people could find good choices. And this really created a lot of interest in the network. We had over 250,000 views and fans even in our preview stage. And I'm very skilled on the marketing side of how to attract attention and audiences. That's actually the easiest part of the job, which I know is a big statement to make, but it's true and something that I can support when we meet in person. And so I think it's really critical for live events to be part of the mix of a television network. And this was something that we cultivated within my time with iDiscovery TV. And it's very important for these live events to have a certain type of immediacy and interaction, which then leads people to the rest of the catalog. Now, live television is happening on the internet in a very significant way. Obviously, TED has done great work with that, and they use live stream as a technology to do that. They're competitors to both. And so there's a lot brewing in this arena, but in my opinion, the form has really not matured to where it needs to. Pretty much what we're seeing in live webcasts are cameras at the back of the room that are designed to try to capture the experience of the people who just couldn't quite make it to the live event. And in my opinion, for it to become a really powerful form and get the most benefit that it can, and particularly to reach a global audience, it needs to be primarily created for the people at home and not the other way around. And that's something as a producer that I think I can demonstrate to you, especially in person when we meet. So what would an Outwitting the Devil television event actually look like? And I think for the first part, it needs to be positioned, as you guys have already done in publishing, as the sequel. That historical moment where the release of Outwitting the Devil suddenly makes everything in the catalog behind it make that much more sense. And from a marketing standpoint, that's something that we can really learn a lot from Hollywood on, where certain sequels have far outpaced the original, where the rabid fan base is really primed and positioned, and very much through social media, to get excited about the upcoming release of that next event in the series that they can reconnect with, and then they bring their friends and fans and wives and girlfriends and so on to capture the magic. And so there's a lot that we can do from a marketing standpoint there. But I think from an education standpoint, it's also very important to tap into the very, very real problem that Think and Grow Rich for one reading is, for a lot of people by themselves, not easily accessible. Those who've had a lot of impact from it have gone back and read it a second time, a third time, or become impacted by somebody that they're inspired by who gave them insight into it, and then they went back to it or perhaps read it for the first time. So I think gathering experts who have their own passion and point of view on Napoleon Hill and have them interact with the material live and on camera while it's going on as part of a bit of a panel series along with Sharon and some aspects of Napoleon Hill on video that I've seen going back to the early Guthrie-Renker releases of Napoleon Hill on video can be interspersed with pieces of Outwitting the Devil that are dramatized or read or discussed as individual elements to begin to create that interaction that has people make distinction. And to further that, I think that the audience that's live in studio or in seminar would actually be VIPs themselves attending the event to learn in the same gathering themselves from a review of the material. And through further VIP conversation and debate and distinctions, the audience would get the best of what accelerated learning is all about, which is to have multiple levels of review in the same space and time, which is my personal point of view on what it's all about. And I think this can really elevate the programming into not just a seminar that people get to watch from home in a very passive way, but something that they can interact with and really retain the information. And of course, to be able to retain it and access it through any of these devices. But I think most importantly, as a social experience that's primarily for the audience at home, we can have them engage with the experience in a very active way in the way that social media allows. The Twitter hashtags for the questions, the way that they're done for political debates, can all be sent out into the Twitter sphere, which then taps into all their other social media as well through hashtags. And all of those hashtags can permanently be embedded for marketing long after the event itself. From an educational standpoint, we can also assign them into groups, buddy groups and study groups, where they can do their own review, their own debate and questions and distinctions so that they can further enhance the learning process. There will also be multiple sections, so in between the sections, programming still needs to be ongoing because television never goes dark. And so there's an opportunity in the review times to embed further programming. Think of it as like the DVD extras, where people can go in and browse other study aids and reviews and video programming that's been made specifically for the audience at home, and of course where they can browse the rest of the library. So it's a very immersive experience that people can get a whole lot more detail than they could even get sitting in a chair in the room. That is really the intent, is to make it more valuable for them to watch from home than being there live in the room. Of course, the potential revenues from these are enormous because we have a potential for a global audience. And I think as I just go through this a little bit, I think it's critically important for us to remember that the people who have not yet discovered Napoleon Hill are the real market for this, and there's a big potential in reaching them. But the global audience, if we were only able to reach 5,000, which I consider very small, given the number of influencers and their marketing lists around the world that would be able to participate in this. But even at what I would consider a very disappointing response of 5,000, at just $100 a person, let's say a $99 price point, we'd be looking at $500,000 revenue. And the costs of marketing and production are something that I would bear, and I'm capable of doing so on my own, just to put that out of the question as you review this video. But on top of the gate revenue, so to speak, would also be product sales. And further, since this FusionCast is what I call it, would be part of a series that I'm producing in other topics and part of other television content that I'm in the process of producing, this will eventually be part of a library where people can discover it long after the fact, and which revenues from both advertising and tuition, so to speak, would continually be able to be shared with you all. It's important for me to emphasize some numbers in talking about the future of people that are yet to discover Napoleon Hill. There are 3 billion people who are not yet on the internet who will be coming online in the next 10 years around the planet. Most of them through mobile devices. A large number of their searches are going to be information and education oriented. Video is going to speak to them more than text content, and this could be extremely well positioned for that marketplace. And I think technology has arrived to the place where some artistic vision put into how people are communicated with and how they communicate with each other around such universal principles as the success laws can really be very important programming and something we can all be proud of producing. So hope that gives you some good groundwork in it, and look forward to meeting you guys in person, and thanks very much for watching.